I use it is an old habit to speak standing. This is a sign of respect to the auditorium. I think that speaking, okay, therefore. Yeah. I like to introduce always my conferences with a motto. And the motto I choose for this conference for today is by, in a book written by Professor George Jean, a French book, writing Memory of Humanity. And he said, it is a past that prevents the future from becoming anything. The past helps us to organize and to structure the future. And as you know, I have the responsibility to develop the theme Templarism and its place in the 21st century society. May I remind you that we were invited to a conference. The title of this conference contains the word Templarism. So I think that my paper I have particularly to show in the structured way, introduction, content, conclusion, what means Templarism in the past and today. Before I start, I would like to remind you that part of us are members of sovereign and military orders of the Temple of Jerusalem. The word military includes a certain discipline, and this is a call of mine to a certain discipline for the future. So it could appear curious that a professor of orthopedic surgery comes to speak to you about Templarism and his place in the actual society. The explanation of my position resides in the fact that I have in my life, there are two main points of my interest. The one is the human body, from psychological and physical part, and the other side is, as historian, the order of the temple, that means the central part of the Middle Age, the period where coincidence, Crusaders came also to the Holy Land, but with another aim and with another program. It is important, I underline always, you know probably that the Templars fought together with the Crusaders, but sometimes against the Crusaders. Never confusion, please, between Templar and Crusader. The concept of plurality in continuity is an important phenomenon that serves to revitalize and adapt certain principles elaborate 9 centuries ago to our modern world. 900 years only separate us from the epic Templar events. 900 years only, and yet, beginning the calculation under what we call sub specie aeternitas, the history of the world, hundreds of thousands of years, 900 years sound like a part of a second. But if we consider these 900 years, 900 since the beginning of the Order of the Temple, inside what the historian recognizes as known world, are only 5,000–6,000 years. This second is much larger than as we presumed at the beginning. If we look at the world of the Knight Templars of the Middle Ages, with its beliefs, its fears, its convictions, its questions, its activities and struggles, with more than 90% illiteracy on the one side, and our modern life, where everything goes quick, mechanized, electronized, and so on, you can see the difference between these two worlds. I want to say that these two worlds are different but not divergent. At contrary, now our present here shows that we go together with the path of the. Now someone will ask, what are we doing with the order of the Temple, once again 900 years after the fact? The great philosopher Thales from Miletus wrote, the human being cannot live without dreams, without ideals, without hope. And a lot of philosophers and the Romans and the Germans and so on adopted, we need a dream, we need something in order to hold us straight in life, because if not we will fall down. The difficulties of historical transition period analysis is remarkable not only through the numeric, historic and geopolitical changes, but also especially thanks to the fact that notable social, cultural, mentality and behavioral components of our world changed since 900 years ago. I give you an example of difference of two periods. When we look today and we see that there are attempts to replace the brain with an electronic machine, I personally am afraid about this tendency, because I consider that not using our brain, just looking on the tablet, will bring to the regression on the evolution of the brain, who became greater through history, through searching, through thinking, and through doing. Allow me please a short but complex reflection about the main word of the title of my presentation, Templarism. What are his roots? What does it mean? And particularly, about what are we speaking? About what we speak today and yesterday and tomorrow? Some short but essential consideration will show that there is a chain between three terms: Temple, Templar, and Templarism. You know all that since always the temple is considered with majuscula the house of God. It is a house where human meets the divine. There are a lot of representation of temples. There are all kinds of temples. And for example, you know that today part of Christian pray in churches, but part of Christian pray in temples. So it is clear how important this concept of the house of God is for us, the temple. The Templar, it's very simple. It is for all of us, the member of the order of the temple, a knight or a dame Templar. This is the middle part of the chain, Temple, Templar, Templarism. My long study and reflection on the personality of the Knight Templars of the past and my actual regard of their characteristic remind me that in the past the Greek philosophers spoke about eros, love, and life, and thanatos, death. And these were for the Greek philosophers antagonistic elements. For the first time in the history of the philosophy, the Templars give an example where these terms change. Instead of being antagonistic elements, they became synergistic elements. And I illustrate the Templars did all what they did by love for Jesus and for the church, but were ready to bring death to the enemies. What an interesting change of the philosophical basis of the world in a quite short time. In a quite short time. And now I remember that I announced the conference about Templarism, the term of our investigation. An ism is a concept which we can add to a substantive and to make ism, Templarism, monotheism, and so on. So we call how can we define Templarism? I apologize, I'm not modest, I'm not presumptuous. I was the one who for the first time used the term Templarism in a paper which was published in the bulletin of the Order in Switzerland in 1972, because I had to present a theme about the order of the temple and about what can today be used for the order of the temple, and I said we need a central point on which we can build all this knowledge, all these things. And this term is Templarism. It is temple and ism, that means we extend the meaning of the temple and we create, we have, and we use today, even in the, I repeated the title of our meeting, the word, you read the word Templarism. Nowadays, things are different. I told you that 900 years ago, 90% of people were analphabets, were illiterate people, and nowadays, things are different. The spiritual nobility is no longer acquired only by the sword who taps 3 times on the night, but it is acquired as the nobility of the spirit, supported by comprehension, by sentiments, by respect for human beings and through the activity within the order of the Temple in one single concept, that one of the Templarism. Templarism is a central concept of our, it is a very difficult theme I proposed to be developed, but then I said, oh wow, what do you choose? I tried to explain it, I apologize, maybe I confused, maybe, but Templarism is a center, it is a central point of our activity and of our knowledge. What was in the 1972 when I wrote the first time Templarism, I wrote following words. The field of projection of the gates opened by Templarism are, I was written, human dignity, in brackets, inviolable, respected and protected, liberty of movement, thought, religious orientation, political opinion, and so on, equality in all fields of the life, and democracy as the right of everyone to choose the world and the place where he wants to live. The present period is remarkable not only through the numeric changes, but also, especially, thanks to the fact that in a relative short period of time, notable geopolitical, social, mental, and behavioral transitions occurred. In 900 years ago, the evolution of humanity was very slow. It was, we could see how it goes. Today we cannot say what will happen tomorrow because everything is so accelerated. What type of society, which rules, habits and structures are today confronted with a Templar legacy? This present period is remarkable, as I said, to the numeric changes and in the difference of concept. I would like to open a short bracket and to say that there are two differences between human beings. There are the biological differences and the psychosocial ones. The biological differences need tens and hundreds of thousands of years. You know how they evolved from the monkey to the human being today. It took hundreds, thousands of years. Mental changes occur very quick, inside of centuries. And this can be exemplified very good comparing the Templar period and comparing our world. So what is the situation today? And with this I will finish. The identity of the OSMTJ, Ordre Sovereign Militaire Temple of Jerusalem, is the following. We do not claim an uninterrupted Templar filiation since the Middle Ages. We do not claim to be the material heirs of the original order of the Temple, but we are proud to light again the torch of Templar ideals and moral. We are men that were or became conscious about the Christian materialization and technicization of all the chapters of life, and the following: men, solitude, lack of ideals and fear. People today fear. I will finish soon telling following. We consider it, we are proud that we can say that we are a chivalry of the spirit and of the heart to the service of the nearest of each human being. And so, the noble ideals of our Templar ancestors are remembered and revived in order to express and to demonstrate that in fact this elitistic chivalry of the heart and of the spirit, of the intelligence and of feeling is still absolutely necessary. And what it is the most important, this kind of chivalry, of nobility, it can be achieved by whom? By us. Allow me please to conclude by the following message. I have a message. That all those that have heard me on this day reflect on the fundamental message, on the motto of the Order of the Temple, chosen at the time of the first presentation of vows in 1120 in Jerusalem, as Patriarch Garamond wanted to receive their vows. All religious, it was at the beginning, order, has to have a motto. The Templars said no motto, and Garamond found the Psalm 115, the beginning, non nobis domine non nobis, sed nominitur da gloria. Its extension is symbolically infinite. It reaches from the universal glory of the name of God the Almighty to the humility we have to prove to the apparent non-existence of the designation of the name of each being. In its modesty, its submission, and the scale of values, this message is still valid today and will always remain valid. And I hope that you will never forget this message, which is at the same time the honor to God, but at the other side, a call to humility and to our position in society. Thank you.